Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP and a ton of other stuff around the new financial system. In my opinion, I do believe that we are nearing the go live stage for the new financial system. We will address that and we will address why. But let's just begin with this tweet here. This is from Fame21 More, aka XRP Darren, over on Twitter. And we do see treasury market liquidity and its relationship with price volatility, and find that while the market has been less liquid in 2022, it has not been unusually illiquid after accounting for the high level of volatility. And we do see when bonds are illiquid, there is a problem. And this is quoting a tweet from Liberty Street Economics. How liquid has the treasury market been in 2022? Very interesting. Then over here, we also do see liquidity crisis incoming. I tweeted this out. This was quoting a tweet from Gold Telegraph, and we do see the source down there. We will address that here in a second, but we do see the Federal Reserve Bank of New York says bank liquidity may be tighter than thought with policy implications. You can't make this stuff up. And we do see the way the banking system manages its cash suggests the financial system may not be as flush as many now understand. See, to me, a lot of the things that we are seeing within crypto, and you can call it whatever, it's all to play this big show that we need regulations because they want to control crypto to usher in this new financial system backed by gold. I've talked about this many times on this channel. And it's going to introduce Cbdcs built out and issued on DLT technology. And you're kind of seeing the moves already being made. The current financial system is on the brink of collapse. And we do see over here from the Gold Telegraph, a federal watchdog is warning that offshore U.S. oil and natural gas facilities are at significant risk of cyber attacks. In 2021, the Federal Reserve said cyber attacks are the #1 threat to the global financial system. And then just recently, we did see over here, breaking news, a United States regulatory agency is warning a quarter of Americans are at risk of winter power blackouts and grid emergencies. This is why you have assets offline. We do see large swaths of North America may face blackouts and other energy emergencies during bouts of extreme cold this winter as coal and natural gas supplies tighten. Blackouts are about to happen. We just actually seen over here, American Express is down across the entire network. Negative 80% of credit cards are not working. And we actually did see a lot of banks go down just recently. A lot of people believe it is for ISO 20022. We do see over here, this is from PO Outdoors. I found a few UK banks that conventionally, or conveniently, have scheduled maintenance this week too. Things that make you go, And here we have NatWest, Cooperative Bank, RBS, Lloyds Bank, as well as Bank of Scotland, all having this planned maintenance. It's very, very interesting. A lot of them started to go down, and again, a lot of people believe that these blackouts, everything that is happening, is just because of maintenance, stuff like that. In my opinion, a lot of the things that we are starting to see are kind of pertaining to not only ISO 20022, but also they're upgrading their systems to something. What is that? We got to question it. We got to understand things that are happening behind the scenes. But in my opinion, the entire financial system is on the brink of collapse. And I do believe that it's going to transition us into the digital age. And this collapse, by the way, is a pre-planned induced collapse. I've talked about this. I've addressed it many times. People will say conspiracy theory, whatever. But when you look at the government spending, and if you look at what the Fed has done with the M2, all of it is pertaining and playing right directly into inflation-created collapse of the financial system. It's textbook. And again, a lot of them will blame the central banks. They'll point the finger at each other. The Federal Reserve will say, hey, it's all these other major central banks, and the central banks like the ECB in them will point the finger at the Fed. We even seen this and addressed this going back to the FOMC meetings during the summertime. That was a big tell sign. And I do think that this is all warming us up for the next major stage. And we even do see over here, never let a crisis go to waste. Shout out to Anderson. But this is quoting Watcher Guru, President Biden calls for stricter international crypto regulation following the FTX collapse. What have I told you guys since day one, once we've seen this FTX collapse? That they are going to utilize it as a perfect example. And this entire FTX collapse, I'm so tired of hearing like this complete nonsense around SBF. SBF was a fall guy during this entire situation. This entire FTX collapse was a pre-planned. It was an event that they wanted to play into regulations, very similar to the Luna situation. All of this is to push these strict regulations to control crypto so that they could utilize crypto technology for these new CBDCs. And when we look at CBDCs, we do see over here from Gold Telegraph, major banks are now working with central banks alongside leading card payment firms concerning central bank digital currencies. Some of the best kept secrets are out in the open. You have to look. Then over here, we do see Tell Me CBDCs are ready without Tell Me CBDCs are ready. Shout out to Zenon24. And again, you could see everything happening in plain sight. These CBDCs are on their way. Now, the big issue, and we've talked about the big issue in the room, is what is Ripple and XRP's role within this? Well, we do see over here. Now, first off, I'll play this video real quick. It's a minute long, and then we will comment on the quoted tweet, and then we will talk about what Matt Hamilton has to say. Let me turn this up real quick so that you guys can hear, and let's play it.
XRP Ledger is, world-leading public blockchain, which was built for payments and issuing currencies, so it's a natural fit for CBDCs. We've taken that and basically providing a private version of that for the central banks. Something that's going to be absolutely critical for the success of CBDCs, and the adoption of them, is the relationship between the public sector and the private sector. As I mentioned earlier, we view that the public sector, the central banks working with the government, will be the designers, the rule setters in terms of policy, and the implementers of the platform for the core capabilities around wholesale and retail CBDC, but that the use cases will come from the private sector. The list just goes on and on and on. There's literally endless potential use cases.
And we've talked about these use cases many times in the past, but this is talking about why the technology that powers the XRP ledger is primed for CBDCs. DLT will play a vital role in the CBDC's future. Now, the big questions in the room are, one, if XRP is so decentralized, how come central banks and governments like XRP so much for their CBDC? Central banks and governments control CBDC, set limits, freeze accounts, etc. Central banks working with governments will be designers, rule setters, and implementers for the platform. And we do see down here, the honest answer, they actually don't like it that much. They want control. In order to use a decentralized permissionless blockchain, they have to give up that control. They can have a halfway by issuing their own CBDC on the XRP ledger. And we do see down here, like, once again, everyone confuses the XRP and Ripple software. Why is it so hard for them to understand they are not the same? And I completely agree. Now, with all of this in mind, a lot of people are always curious about the control aspect. And yes, 100%, we've been focused on the control aspect around CBDCs for so long. In fact, I actually just made a video on this utilizing this exact diagram from XRP Crow. And we do see CBDCs for retail users. The European Central Bank, the ECB, has been a big contributor to CBDC research and understanding. Considers restricting how people spend their money. This is concerning. Programmable money, privacy concerns, and spending limits before data is even tracked. So when we look at this, this is the full-on diagram. I thought that this was the wrong diagram, but no, this is actually 100%. So users allowed to spend 50 euros per transaction, maximum spending limit 1,000 euros per month before data is tracked. Transactions limit 50 per month, and digital euro holdings 3,000 euros max. Privacy and other concerns as well, and here you guys have all of the major concerns. So, yeah, pretty substantial. Now, a lot of people believe that, considering the fact that Ripple is pushing this, and Ripple is a big player and contributor to CBDC research and understanding and things like that, It's the idea that when you look at things happening around CBDCs, it almost makes you think like, okay, well, is Ripple also going to be a company that is going to push for these CBDCs to take away, we'll say, your data, or your privacy, and utilize your data through CBDCs? Not necessarily. In fact, I think that this over here from Matt Hamilton is the perfect idea around how we should have CBDCs. I actually made a video on this entire thread before as well. And we do see this is from Leia. People love to promote XRP as the bridge currency for CBDCs like it's a good thing. And we do see, and guess which coin will be the bridge currency between all of those CBDCs. And we do see here from Matt Hamilton, well, it is a good thing as it is promoting an open, decentralized, permissionless cryptocurrency for use as a bridge between CBDCs. Why is that bad? It's a bad thing if your Twitter and media identity is built around misleading people into believing that CBDCs are Orwellian surveillance coins that will enslave humanity. And we do see from Matt Hamilton, and this is a very, very thing, like the very thing that I've been focused on around XRP. It's not even that though. Regardless of whether you believe that or not, the point is that XRP is not a CBDC. It is actually the antidote to an imaginary or real threat that may be posed by CBDCs. This is why I always say focus on XRP. When we go over here to Ripple's Twitter account and we go to their website, and if you go over onto their website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you go over here to learn more about XRP, and you click here, and you see utility for the new global economy, and you look down here. So I think it was at the bottom here. So yeah, they actually don't. I thought that it was over here on this page, but, or yeah, no, it actually is. So these are the key areas that I want to focus on. So central banks can use a secure, controlled, and flexible solution for the issuance and management of digital currencies. This would be the vital area to focus on around the XRP ledger, aka the DLT. They would be utilizing a private version of the public open source XRP ledger, so it would still be an invisible ledger technology. That's why when you go over here to this tweet and you see private version means invisible transactions, this doesn't mean that they will use a private version of XRP. Again, no, not necessarily, but XRP could very well be utilized within this for the bridge currency. And I do think that that is the big key area to focus on, because when we look at the XRP ledger and when we look at XRP itself, they are fully decentralized, and this could help the issues rising with the ECB with their digital euro around the CBDC, because at the end of the day, it would be promoting something that is fully decentralized, that is permissionless, and it could be the bridge between all of the CBDCs. And I've talked about this on many occasions. That's what we should be hopeful for. Now, if they have these CBDCs implemented and maybe they create their own bridge currency, which I know a lot of people have been focused on, then that would be pretty, that would be pretty scary. But the issue here that I always looked at with these CBDCs is that, for a bridge currency to have that instant settlement, it would need to facilitate what XRP can do. And you might be questioning, like, what can XRP do? When we go over here, back to Ripple's website, and you go to the cross-border payments. Now, cross-border payments is completely different than CBDCs, but one thing that I want to note is just the center point here where you have XRP. Now, this mechanism we've shared with, everyone many times on this channel, but I want to note the fiat currencies here. Now, these fiat currencies could technically be CBDCs as well. You could have the US dollar here, you could have the digital pound, the digital euro, whatever the case may be, and XRP could still be facilitating that entire transaction and settling it within 3 to 5 seconds, being the liquidity source to instantly have that settlement of the payment, as well as having the payment pushed through from one bank to another bank, or maybe from one DLT to another DLT. And you might be questioning, like, okay, well, how would it be able to be that bridge currency between these two CBDCs if there's going to be multiple DLTs as well? Well, if there's multiple DLTs, you'll have something like Quant, which will have the overledger connection between these DLTs to the central banks, and you'll have XRP as the bridge currency on that core platform. Now, Again, this would be my understanding of how this would be the best case scenario for us, because at the end of the day, we don't want CBDCs that are going to be limiting and controlling our everyday spending, as well as what we can do with our money. And then you'll have a social credit score as well. Like, there's a lot of concerning things within this. To me personally, though, the best case scenario would be, like I said, XRP being the antidote to this entire system. You could have a lot of things happening around CBDCs. We still don't know their major plans around this. In my opinion, their plans are pretty dark. I don't think that they want to utilize crypto, but I don't know if they will have a choice or not to utilize something like the XRP ledger around efficiency. Because again, these CBDCs are trying to be as efficient as possible, and we already know that Ripple is working with some names around CBDCs, and in fact, there's already 2 major projects live on the XRP ledger around CBDCs, and you can actually see that when you go over here to Ripple's website and you go to central bank digital currency, and you can see what they are already doing here. So first off, you do see stability, security, and resilience. This is through their technology enabling consistent standards, privacy and security, access and inclusion. And you also do see sustainability, interoperability, and overlay systems. And interoperability is the key here. So connected domestic payment systems, core ledgers, and other CBDCs to reach new levels of innovation through programmability, support, and smart contracts. So technically, you wouldn't need quant in this area, which is interesting as well. And yeah, I mean, this would be pretty large in my opinion as an idea around like this CBDC. But here you guys have the 2 major projects around Bhutan as well as Palau. And again, this would be best case scenario. Could XRP be the antidote to this new system? 100%. I think that that would be the beneficial area to focus on as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on because I'm on free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.